Okay, so I thought this would be a good time to do a quick video showing how my pocket hole drilling machine jig thing works here. I was using it last night and I actually broke it. The cable that drives this actually snapped underneath. And I got a lot of use out of this thing. And I think the cable actually broke because it's too thick. Because these pulleys are kind of small and this cable is too thick to make a tight diameter turn. So it put a lot of stress on the cable and it started to fray up here, and then I guess underneath is where it broke. So I have to replace my cable. I just happen to have this one. It's a smaller cable, and I'll see how this works. So I'm going to take part of this apart and show how it works. I'll just do maybe a quick flyby. So these pulleys that I use are these pulleys here. These are for sliding glass door rollers. And so they make really handy pulleys that you can bolt on to almost anything. So this is, I think, 1.5" angle iron. And I notched out part of it to get it to fit here. And then I have another pulley in the back. This is a spring. And then in back I've got another pulley, a couple more pulleys on another piece of angle iron. So it takes 4 pulleys, 2 pieces of angle iron, 1 spring, and a cable, and some miscellaneous nuts and bolts, and then that's pretty much it. For the foot pedal, I made a hinge out of a piece of 3/4 inch PVC, and inside there's a 3/4 inch threaded rod that attaches through these 2 plates. And then I U-bolted the whole setup into this 3/4 inch plywood plank. So that makes a makeshift hinge. It's a really strong hinge. I could use barn door hinges, but I just didn't have any at the time. And if you buy them at the hardware store, a big heavy duty hinge is like 10 or 15 bucks a piece. So I was able to make this for, I don't know, I had the parts laying around the shop already, but the threaded rod is probably just a few bucks, and the U-bolts are probably $1 each. It's a low-cost, heavy-duty hinge. I'm going to take this cable off and replace it. I'm just going to show another feature of this machine that makes it more versatile. I have 2 of the Kreg K-2 model pocket hole jigs incorporated into this, but I made it removable so that if I needed to take this out and put it somewhere else, like if I have a really long rail that's over, I think, 6 feet. If it's over 6 feet, it'll hit the ceiling, and then I can't use my pocket hole machine. So I can take this out and put it on the floor, and I have to do that sometimes, or I have to do it horizontal. I actually bought another one of these, so I don't have to do that anymore. But when this was my only pocket hole station, I had to take this out a bunch of times, and this is how I do it. So that just fits in there like that. It's just a piece of 2x4 with 2 holes drilled out for the handles. So this doesn't alter the Kreg jig in any way. So I can slide that out and put it on the floor if I need to. So for dust collection on this machine, I just enclosed this space inside. This table is actually just an extra work table that I made that I then modified for the pocket hole station. So I added this piece on the bottom, and then I added this 4-inch dust port here, which hooks up to this hose, and so I get 4-inch dust port dust collection on this. You can see it in the back there. So this space inside here is all sealed up. And then I have this thing here, which channels the dust, makes suction up here and on the bottom. And it's actually enough suction that comes through these holes here to actually keep the workpiece flush up against the fence there, which is handy for small parts. And see if I can replace this wire and get this thing working again. Going to raise up this platform just a little bit. Fucking phone. I just want to make a quick note here about a couple features that I like about my pocket hole jig. I like having the hand-powered drill. You know, even though it's more work to drill all the drills by hand as opposed to, you know, having the drill mounted in some type of machine or in some way to automate the drilling process. And there's a lot of machines out there that Kreg makes, you know, for automated pocket hole drilling. But I like doing it by hand because I get control, and I can also have control with my foot, so I can feel if this is contacting and making enough pressure against here to know if I have enough clamping pressure. So I can feel it with my foot, and then I'm drilling it by hand, so that gives me complete control of both the clamping and the drilling process. So what does that do? It eliminates the possibility of misfire on this machine, because that's something that happens with air-powered, foot-powered pocket hole machines, is that sometimes you don't have the workpiece lined up, and you know there might be some debris under here. But if it's an automated machine, once you press that trigger, it's done. It's going to shoot the hole. So you have the possibility of misfiring your pocket holes once you start automating the clamping and drilling process. So by doing it by hand, it's more work, but not necessarily slower. I can still get a lot of pocket holes drilled in this machine, and for a lot of cases, you know, the spacing of what I'm drilling works with the spacing that's already here. So I can clamp and drill all the pocket holes that I need in one shot, move on to the next piece. It's just as fast as one of the, you know, $5,000 Kreg machines. The two things I like about my machine that make it very useful in the shop is that it gives me the productivity that I need and the speed to get things done consistently, and it's also very reliable because I have control of the drilling and the clamping process. When you're working with expensive material like this, you don't want to misfire something. Another thing I like about this is the visibility that I get with having the jig in the vertical position. A lot of the production machines are horizontal, which is faster for loading and unloading parts and feeding into the machine, but the accuracy is not as good. On this machine I can actually see where I'm going to drill. So if I wanted to avoid this knot, I could line this up here, and that gives me the ability to see exactly what I'm drilling into. So I get better accuracy with this machine in the vertical position. The obvious limitation is the height of the pieces that can be loaded in and out, but as you can see, I solved that problem by making this easily removable. I made these spacers. I have 3 different size spacers here. So what these spacers do is they fit on here like this. So these spacers give me the ability to position frame parts very quickly. So I can drill 2 at the same time, and these holes are on center relative to the size of the rail. I made this in 2007, so I've been using it for 8 years now. It's been a really great contribution to the wood shop. It only took me a day to build this, and the investment of hardware was, well, really the only cost is if you can get these. You know, if you could buy these for 60 bucks, that would be a good deal. If you can get it for under $100, it's still a good deal. So you got $200 in Kreg K-2 clamps, if you can find them, and then maybe $30 in other hardware at the very most. So it's a fairly inexpensive build. My new cable seems to be working good. This drill has some big kahunas. It's not like other drills. If you can see it, it's got 9 amps of power, and it turns at 3,000 RPMs. So it's got double the power that other drills have. This is my old pocket hole drill, and it only has 4.5 amps and 1,200 RPMs. So it's less than half the speed, half the power as the Hitachi D10VF. This is not a toy. I had to get used to using this drill because it has so much torque that if you're not careful with this thing, it'll torque your arm right off. That drill has got some kahunas. So I've been using this to increase productivity, and nobody else makes a drill that is quite as powerful and fast as this one. You can't buy these anymore. And now that I made this video, everybody's going to go onto eBay and start, jacking up the price on these because they don't make them anymore. They're already collectible, and people are paying on eBay what they cost new when the company was selling them. My idea was to maybe make a pocket hole jig from scratch and then just build it out, because it's a pretty simple jig. It's just 2 holes, 2 drill guides, a piece of aluminum. That's all it is. So I thought about making one of these, seeing how I could get that to work, but that's for a future video. I doubt I'm going to have time to get around to that this summer. So these are some materials that I got to experiment with making a pocket hole jig from scratch. I got a big thick piece of high density plastic, a 3-inch aluminum angle, and then I got this clamp that actually works in the opposite direction. It force presses down. It's a different kind of lever. And then I got this for a clamp pad. So I'm all tooled up. I'm ready to build my pocket hole jig from scratch. If anybody wants to send me $1 million, we can get a patent lawyer. This is, of course, before I even built it to see if it works, but this is just an idea that I had that I thought would be something fun to do to see if it could work, and perhaps maybe there would be a market for it if I could build a pocket hole jig from scratch that would work as good as these aluminum Kreg K-2 jigs. There might be a market for that. Because I know people are going to be asking me about this, but this design wouldn't work with the jigs that are made with the blue plastic, because you can't get nearly as much clamping pressure with this clamp. This aluminum design is 10 times stronger than the blue plastic. And so it wouldn't work with the foot power. I actually don't engage the clamp all the way. I just use my foot pressure to apply the clamping pressure, because you can actually push this down all the way and engage the clamp. I don't go down that far, and there's no need to, because I can apply constant pressure with my foot. So, alright, this video is long enough. Back to work. I'm going to get this pong table done. It's being picked up in 5 days. Jeez.